Why off-the-shelf MES keeps failing and why building in-house is even worse. Let's talk about this. I have a good friend of mine interviewed for one of the top defense contractors, and they told him they spent tens of thousands in one of the big brand MES, like one of the off the shelf solutions. And the operators and engineers hate it so much that they've gone back to paper travelers. Now, of course, leadership is freaking out. They're wanting to scrap the whole thing and build it in house. Yeah, a couple people have raised their hands saying, "Hey, I can do this." The problem is they have no architect, no strategy, and no roadmap to execute on. So why did the off-the-shelf MES fail? Well, it's a cookie cutter solution, right? It's assuming that you're going to make 10,000 widgets identical one to the other. And you either have to make your processes fit the system, which is backwards, or you need to adjust the system to fit your processes, which is the right way of thinking about it, but it's no longer an off the shelf solution. So you're going to end up spending, more time dealing with a customer service, trying to customize the system to fit your needs instead of starting from scratch with the right solution. In aerospace, you're making high precision custom parts constantly, where you're constantly changing revisions and non-conformance. You're having to adjust and be flexible and nimble enough to be able to meet your targets. Off the shelf solutions can't keep up, are not flexible enough with the nature of a low volume, high mix that aerospace is. So, why does the homebrew version fail? Well, most manufacturers have really smart, capable engineers. Problem is, they're very versed on a single dimension. They're either full software or full controls engineer, and you need an architect. You need someone that is full stack verse. They know from the PLC all the way to the cloud. And this is a very specialized skill. This is a rare breed to find out there. And if you have them, you end up having the issue of you have this really smart, capable engineer that starts with your Python and your SQL and potentially Ignition, SCADA, starts integrating everything together, and then leaves for a 20% increase somewhere else. And now you're left with a bunch of scripts and databases that you don't know how to operate. You don't know how to complete and take this project to the finish line. So what's the solution then? The right way is using an open architecture. You don't buy a monolith of a software, or you don't start from scratch trying to build it all in house. You compose the best tools using a unified architecture. And this brings us to the holy grail of Industry 4.0, report by exception. The old way of integrating different software stacks in an industrial automation solution would be polling, where your PLC is constantly telling whichever system you connect to it, usually your HMI or your SCADA, but I've seen it connect to the MES or even to the ERP level. And they're constantly telling you the status, every tag that you want to see. That's good at a lower level on a controls standard. When you're trying to control a machine, you want to have that type of reliability. When you're trying to build an MES system, you don't want to be constantly bombarded. That overwhelms your network. All that's going to do is overwhelm your network. With a unified architecture, you have a unified namespace, a UNS, at the center of all the different systems that you want to connect to. And all you have to know is what is the data structure inside that unified namespace. And that brings us here to the end. That means that with a unified namespace, your ERP, your maintenance system, your SCADA, anything, your quality system, it's all connected to a single source of truth, which gets the current state, the latest information, and you don't need to go around connecting directly connecting a bunch of different systems, spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in expensive integrations. So, if you want to keep learning about Industry 4.0, SCADA, MES, or industrial automation in general, follow us on this channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.